Hi everyone, I'm Yang. Welcome to Tea House, China Radio International's online video talk show. As China becomes more popular around the world, people in different countries are increasingly interested in various topics about China. What does the world want to know about our country? Now let's welcome a global citizen who has a Chinese father, Japanese mother, and European husband. She is Mrs. GuJing, the wife of the Belgian ambassador to China. After living in different countries every other year, Mrs. Gu has a unique perspective on what our international friends want to know about China. First, let's take a look at a brief video to learn more about Mrs. GuJing.
Mrs. GuJing is a woman of the world, fluent in 4 languages. Born in China, raised in Japan, a European citizen, Gu is the epitome of sensibility and refinement. She has a profound love for nature, the fine arts, and Chinese tea culture. In 1992, after graduating from Kansai University in Japan, Mrs. Gu entered the Yomiuri Shimbun, the first journalist with a Chinese background in the field. Mrs. GuJing worked as a freelance journalist for several Japanese weekly and monthly magazines from Shanghai and Brussels in 1997. She also worked as an Asian Pacific analyst for a Belgian consulting firm. Gu began to focus on studying natural treatment, healthy cooking and baking in Japan and Belgium in 2007. Fascinated by traditional Chinese culture, Mrs. GuJing held the first Tea Horse Road exhibition in Belgium, bringing traditional Chinese culture to Europe. As the wife of the Belgian ambassador to China, she also organized many seminars and salons to spread healthy cooking concepts and stimulate cultural exchanges.
Hi, Mrs. GuJing. Welcome to Tea House.
Thank you.
I prepared a Chinese tea for you. It's a black tea from Yunnan province.
Yunnan province, well, the province I know very well. I have been many times.
Try it.
It's good.
Well, Mrs. GuJing, you left China for Japan at the age of 18 in late 1980s. What was your impression of China back then?
That was a long time ago. Yeah, it was 1980. I think compared with nowadays, from the material life point of view, it was not so rich. So we do not have so much material. We do not have iPhone, iPad, a MacBook. But I think many of us had a dream, had a good dream. We want to study. We want to study more, we want to go to abroad, and we want to have a good future.
What did you study?
I studied economy.
And what was your dream back then, after graduation?
Yeah, I wanted to work for a company, a normal company, but afterwards I completely changed my mind.
What made you to change your mind?
When I was second year in my university, I had a chance to do a one-day part-time job for a Japanese newspaper, and then to do some interpreting job. And then I entered the big editor room. I said, wow, it's really exciting affair, and it's many journalists. I did the TV was on, different kinds of TV, international TV, Japanese TV, and all the radio was on, and those journalists just busy. And I stayed one day. I felt, wow, this is really exciting job, because you are trying to catch up what is happening in the world minute by minute. So I decided, I said, if it's possible, I would like to become a journalist.
And what kind of story about China did the Japanese media tell the world about China?
Well, at that time, I think the Japanese media, they were more focused on Chinese history, Chinese tradition, because in Japan, basically Japanese people, they have many of them, they have profound respects towards Chinese culture, Chinese history, and the religion, Buddhism, etc., etc.
When you lived in Europe and other countries in the world, what were the hot topics regarding China?
I think the same, the Chinese culture and Chinese tradition, and the European people, they have interesting ways. I think only China is the only country in the world, in its culture, they have so many symbols, symbolic, like red lantern, and the Q opera face, and also Chinese furniture, different motif. I think this kind of symbols appeared a lot, attracted a lot the attention of the Europeans. They were asking me, do you know Chinese opera? Or the Chinese lantern, they would tell me the Chinese lantern, they found the Chinese lantern is incredible, attractive.
Regarding to Chinese tea, I know that you used to hold an exhibition in Belgium, right? I think that is tea time. Let's have a nice cup of Chinese tea and then talk about this.
The most important thing that joined our two countries are trade and economic ties.
We should move towards finding win-win solutions.
Build a bridge through drinking some real nice Chinese tea.
Oh, I could kill for a nice cup of tea.
Mrs. GuJing, welcome back to Tea House.
Thank you.
In Europe, with limited budget, you used to hold a Tea House Road exhibition. What motivates you to do that?
This is quite a longer story. When I worked for a Japanese media, Yomiuri Shimbun, Dumai Shinwen, when I was still a young journalist, the first year, so our newspaper published a series about Yunnan. They did a kind of joint research with Osaka University together. So because Japanese think a part of their root ancestor was come from Yunnan. So it was really well done, like a reportage. So I remember the first year I worked as a journalist in Japan. I had to cover the criminals, staying in the police station, and very tiring work. When I have time, I will read this reportage about Yunnan, about it was so beautiful. At that time, I said, one day I want to go to this province. 7 years ago, when we lived in Hong Kong, and some of friends just asked me, let's go to Yunnan to see the tea garden. And immediately I said, yes, good idea. I could not forget the beauty I have seen. It's just a tea garden surrounded by the mountain, and so pure, so nice. And I had a good stay there. And then I heard about the Tea House Road. People are talking Tea House Road. I just asked, what's the Tea House Road? They said, Tea House Road, it's like a historical road which connects China to India, of course, via Tibet. I said, this is quite interesting. And then on the way back in Kunming Airport, I bought all the books related to Tea House Road. And so in the flight, inside the flight, I read it. The more I read it, the more I was excited about this Tea House Road.
What challenges did you face while preparing this exhibition?
It was really, really, really difficult because I know for having an exhibition, I need 3 things. One is good materials. It's not a copy, the real materials, the materials people has used along this road. And the second, I need good photos, real good photos. The third, of course, the text. Text I can do. I can do the research. I can make text. And so during the first 3 months for finding good photos and materials. It was extremely difficult.
Then why did you choose this part of Chinese culture to show the world?
Teahouse Road has more than 2,000 years history. It's just like the Silk Road, but it was overshadowed by the Silk Road. Few people know Teahouse Road. This is a road brought the Chinese tea to Tibet, and in exchange brought the Tibetan horse to China, because the Tibetan horse, the war horse, during the war they used it. But when you see, it's not only a commercial road, it's also a path of migration and the religions spreading and the cultural exchange. So it has beyond the meaning of the commercial. Along the Teahouse Road, you see the richness of the minority culture. You see the harmony of the different religions.
I think that we've talked a lot about the history of Chinese culture. How about we talk about what contemporary China can present the world after another cup of Chinese tea?
Thank you.
Okay.
The most important thing that joined our two countries are trade and economic ties.
We should move towards finding win-win solutions.
Build a bridge through drinking some real nice Chinese tea.
Oh, I could kill for a nice cup of tea.
Mrs. GuJing, welcome back to Tea House.
Thank you.
When you moved back to China with your family in 2009, how different was the country from your childhood memories?
Compared with 10 years ago, the Beijing has changed dramatically. Especially we come after the Olympic game. So the city really has many buildings, high buildings, become much clean, and more foreigners.
In which area does China still need to improve economically, politically, and socially?
I'm worried about the food safety. I think it's a big topic, but I think it's on the process, because nowadays more and more people getting aware of the food safety issues, more and more scandals. Now we can read it from the public, from the media. I think it's good things. We say it's darkness before the sunlight. I have confidence that it will change a lot.
Well, who do you think are the best Chinese people to speak about China in the world arena?
This is a difficult question. When I think there are many famous Chinese in the world, we can find pick up many famous Chinese scientists, Chinese actresses, and Chinese sports players like Yao Ming. But I think when the country has more confident people appeared, and then the best spokesman or best spokeswoman for China will appear.
How do you define confidence?
Confidence comes from 3 parts. The first, you have to be confident with your own culture, with your own history, with your own heritage. The second is the confidence comes from the understanding to another part, for your content part, which means you have to understand where the foreign culture, it's not only from the textbook, but you really have to go to travel the world, to live with the people there, to feel, to observe, and then you will understand why people have this kind of mentality. The third, the confidence comes from the tolerant to different kind of opinion. When people say they praise you, you take it. But when people start to criticize you, if you can not take it emotionally, but take it logically, and start to have a kind of logical debate, then I think these people have confidence.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. GuJing, for your insights. And I sincerely hope that more confident Chinese people can stand out to speak about China in the world arena in the near future.
So do I.
I hope you enjoy the tea.
Very much. Thank you.
Please have more.
Thank you.